It's the second day of the second month of 2020. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin prices. We're going to look through all of our indicators on the different time frames to see if we are going to be going more parabolic from here or pull back. And at the end of the video, I'm going to do an extra special clip on Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to show you a study that I did through this bull market and through this bull market and through this bull market. Each of these three green squares, when Bitcoin dominance was dropping sharply, altcoins were going in a bull market during these periods. And I'll finish the video with a fourth study, another study that we did through this little wee bull market that we had during this period from December until the end of March of 2019. All of that so that we get prepared for what is coming up with Bitcoin dominance making this top formation and the altcoin season starting again. That's what we're going to end with on today's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin. Let's jump into Bitcoin relative strength index here on the weekly time frame. As you probably know from watching this episode over and over, if you haven't subscribed, you know the deal, hit the subscribe button. We're watching for this uptrend to be continuing. And even though I'm really thinking it's not done quite going up yet, it's going to pull back to this range again before it goes up. So let's zoom in now and see where exactly we are right now, because we're hitting a double top in the RSI with a divergence here. We did see double tops before with divergences, and it didn't mean that we were finished yet. In fact, it meant that we were going to pull back to a significant level and then really take off. So there's still lots of room for this RSI to be running up into much higher levels here on the daily time frame. And at the same time, if it breaks down below these levels, it's really important to pay attention to that prices may be pulling back. There's still lots of room for it to do on either side. The 12 hour, you know, the same thing. I'm going to be watching this zoomed in view. The 4 hour is really interesting to me. If I get into this 4 hour time frame, this is what we were watching there yesterday. And it broke down below there right after the video yesterday, and it started breaking down below these levels. So now that it's pulled back up and the RSI has eased back, this continues our pull back before the snap up. So again, if this starts to break higher than these levels as prices are breaking up, those are confirmations right there. Yet if it is going to be continuing down, you know, we could get a lot more sideways tees before this really builds and goes up. But this is giving us really clear levels now to be paying attention to. On the 1 hour time frame, how are we doing? So this has broken a little bit of that downtrend and double bottomed off of this. So again, if this holds the strength above these levels and builds as we're breaking out, that these are confirmations and we can hear it in the background here. Let's zoom right into the 5 minute time frame. So this is what we're hearing in the background right now is those orders going through. And we do have a 1, 2, 3 bottom here. It broke up above it. It nested into a larger 1, 2, 3 right here. So breaks above this on this trend line or below it. Really important stuff. I'm expecting above just because of the way the RSI is setting up here. Let's go into the other indicators because I still think Bitcoin is not the big show. I think the altcoins are going to steal the show, even though Bitcoin is going up like they did from March to July of 2017. Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $3,000. And you'll see at the end of this video what some of the alts did. On balance, the volume is buying. That's what this indicator shows us. We can see the volume here red, I don't know what. But when I see it this way, I can see that on balance, the volume is buying, not selling. So and when we go into the 12 hour time frame, we've been watching for this for quite a long time, talking about how this had good sustained buying and then a big whoosh. Now we've had big sustained buying here. We haven't had the whoosh. It hasn't really pulled back yet on this 12 hour time frame. That's a lot of buying, steady buying. 4 hour time frame. Here we're getting a bit of a divergence. So now it gets more important to pay attention to this as a top formation, as a 1, 2, 3 top formation with this bearish divergence setting up right here. It's not definitive. This is not a leading indicator. This will tell us as it's happening. I'll zoom in on this and I'll see, okay, it's been positive volume all the way along here. And this dumping was actually pretty puny compared to some of the other dumping going on here. So that lets me know that this dump was actually just fake and panic and normal in the ascending wedge triangle. I've been called these top formations so many times in the past as things were going up, and then the top blows off and you go, okay, what was I doing wrong here? What was this divergence wasn't actually a divergence, it was actually a pullback before the snap up. So let's go see now in the MACD indicator on the weekly time frame. Wow, look at the 60-20 EMAs pulling away from each other here on the daily. On the weekly time frame, this is got momentum. Really beautiful. And this crossover here is beautiful too. Let's zoom in now, and I like, this is a rejection wick now that I hadn't noticed before on the daily. We have parallel arms going up. Let's see if this histogram starts to grow and turn lighter color. That would be stronger. The lighter the color, the way I've got set up, the stronger it is. So let's zoom in now on the 12-hour time frame. This is almost crossing, and this has been catching me as I've been building through this. I was watching to see this crossover and then this crossover negative, right? We got a cross negative, we got this divergence pulling back here, and then I was wondering what happened in the last up run as we were going through it. How did this occur? And you can see that we pulled back quite a bit with this RSI before it took off here on the 12-hour time frame. It really pulled back a lot, even though prices didn't. And it gave us that big run up afterwards. So I'm really watching this as a pullback differently than before. So as this pulls back, I'm not calling it quite the bearish divergence as I was in the past. Now that we've identified how this pulled back here on the 12-hour, let's see what happened on the weekly and the daily on that very same spot. So the daily also crossed negative and pulled back, so it looked really terrible right there. This was a 1, 2, 3 top formation. We got the crossover. Everything was a bear signal there. And then it immediately made a bottom formation and off it went. So we can't be slacking on this stuff. If it pulls back and it gives us a 1, 2, 3 bottom and these turn, look at that. That's the daily. That's a lot of momentum switch. So if we go into the weekly time frame, nothing happened. It was parallel lines all the way along. So the oscillation in the smaller time frames is less important, even on the daily time frame. Now that we've got this weekly crossover, everything else is an oscillation that is setting us up for when to buy. When to buy. This will just stay parallel right till it's time to sell. So this is really great because it really magnifies our 1, 2, 3 top formation here on the longest time frames, and we can narrow down into the smaller time frames to get our entries just as we did here. Beautiful. Now, again, I want to zoom in on this and go back to the 12-hour time frame to see how this is crossing. Now, I'm zooming in right on this point here. I want to see what's going on with the 12-hour and zoom in on the 4-hour, because here again is that oscillation. It's pulling back and then crossing up as we go. Pulling back and crossing up, pulling back and crossing up, pulling back and crossing up. Again, over and over and over. So when this crosses, man, these are really great. We've really moved into the bull market now. We have got that parallel channel, and we're starting to see this set up in the altcoins now, that we're getting these kind of setups that we are going to be able to tell when to put the nitro on. When should we really be stepping up on this, adding a little bit more maybe? We should be able to tell, when do you buy the dip, right? The 1, 2, 3. This is the dip that you buy when these things cross over. That's when you buy the dip, not when it's coming down. You don't buy this dip. Who knows how far it's going down? It's finished the dip and it's turning around. That's when you've bought the dip and you start to go back along the trend. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. I'm off track here, but really excited about sharing all of this stuff as we're taking off. There's no limit to the wealth out there. Your success doesn't limit my success. So if you haven't already, let me put this plug in here right now. Go to the website. I've updated the homepage a little bit more to tell you what you get in this free webinar. It's not a sales pitch. You get some real homework that you have to do here. So get a pad of paper ready, sit down, print out that study guide that goes with it, and watch the webinar and take notes. Really go through this stuff in detail. It isn't fluff. It isn't light. This is real stuff that we're going through here. Let's go to the next indicator now in Bitcoin, because I really want to get to that altcoin stuff at the end. That's the real key of this presentation, because once you understand this stuff, it's not enough. You've got to practice it. You've got to make it into a habit. That's why I do this over and over. Weekly time frame, not much I can say here. Daily time frame, bullish. Everything's crossed to the bullish. Just watching to see these blue and red line come close together. Let's zoom in on the 12-hour time frame. I'm watching the same thing. Where's the blue and the red line? Let's go in now onto the 4-hour time frame. Now we've actually seen it cross to the negative. This is the first of the bearish details here that we've seen. I've been really looking at everything as bullish, but now this is giving me a 1, 2, 3 top formation, and that has crossed to the negative. Again, it's not definitive. It has to come through the cloud. We have to get a lot more, but that's the very first signs of bearishness here on the 4 hour. The 1 hour time frame, yesterday we were seeing that it was looking like it was going to break up. Right after the episode, it did this little dip down and recovered. So nothing clear here. Let's go into the Bollinger Bands now and see what's going on. Weekly, we've got a full candle right above that midline. Beautiful. Really nice to see it. Let's zoom in now onto the daily time frame. What I'm watching for now is this mean reversion, where anytime it comes up between the second and third standard deviation, I want to watch to see, is it going to be bouncing down from there? Because often when it gets up over that or into that, it's a place to take the opposite direction. When it gets into that, it's the place to be buying. So when it gets up into this, I want to pay attention and follow through to see when is a real selling opportunity, or when is it just on the uptrend and continuing. So 12-hour time frame up to the third standard deviation and then sideways, though it does look like it's going up here to me. So here is a buy signal as it gets down past the third standard deviation. As it did that dip yesterday, it actually gave us the Bollinger Band buy signal here on the 4-hour time frame. This is a really important signal too. When it comes down to the third standard deviation and comes up out of it, it is very often a signal. Now, at the beginning of the video, I talked about a study I did of these 3 different bull markets. This green square here until here, this green square from that 12-hour crossover until this crossover. All the time that Bitcoin dominance is dropping, this is when we should be holding altcoins. This is one of the biggest altcoin seasons we had. It wasn't the only one. We had altcoin seasons in the past as well. And so I did well in each of these altcoin seasons. I remember in 2015 making a 10 times trade here. I made some great trades here. It was a real hard one here to hold all of my stuff, but then made some phenomenal trades. And by this time I had started from nothing, and I had grown my account and 10 times it through 1 year, 10 times it the next year. And by the time we came up to 2017, I was sitting on about $10,000, and it went over to $500,000 by the time we hit this level here. And then, of course, we had altcoin winter come in, and it's been a long, slow time in altcoins as we've come back to a stronger Bitcoin dominance here. With this top formation, this is the time to get prepared for what might happen next. So the first study I want to share is what happened through March to July of 2017. I took screenshots of everything. I did a whole bunch of trading here and did really, really well. But what I did for these screenshots is I went back and I took a screenshot of where the markets were so that we could see what did this look like as we came up to it. This was our 1, 2, 3 bottom formation in BitShares as we came down through this long, cold altcoins winter. And as the 12-hour exponential moving average crossed over, I took this as our entry date. I took an average price of whatever was going on that day, and then I did case studies on all of these markets. So we can see here that BitShares, after that entry, it went up so high I had to do a second screenshot because the first one just flatlined, and we had to stay in this trade a long time here for 6 weeks before it really started to build and take off. So what I did is I went through and I studied the 12-hour exponential moving average, and I tried it in a whole bunch of different combinations, and it came down to me that the 60-20 combination on the 12-hour kept us in the best on this volatile up and down movements, and it did the best overall in the testing for our gains. So I went through and I did that for all of these coins, and you can see here that on this bull run we had 2,000%, 600%, 175%, 4,000%, 400, 700, 200, 600, 500. It was like crazy. There were hundreds and hundreds of percent gains. So 700% gain it's insane. 1,600% gains is phenomenal. It's nuts. I can't even do the math to show you how much money you would make if you put $1 in there and you get this back out. I think you get $16.80 out of this. $1 would turn into $30. So $1,000 would turn into $30,000 of strata. So there's an incredible amount of money that was made through this period here, and it really built the hype up. Next bull run, we did the very same trading plan on the very same markets, but they didn't do quite as well from December 2017 to January 2018. They did. They like doubled in price, 172%, but nothing compared to the 600%. 140% here, 147% instead of 1,000%, 200% instead of 700%. Then the next bull market, if we look back at the dominance here again, and we're looking at the next one here that I did this study on, was from here to here. But when we go back to the study, we can see that we were getting 80%, 15%, 12%, some of them minus percent, that they went up a little bit, they gave us a signal, but then they went sideways and down. And by the time the 12-hour EMA crossed over, we were down to 12% losses. And so you can see that this system puts us into position if there is a market to make the money out of. But if the market doesn't really turn out, then the system has to kick us out. We have to get out of that market. We can't keep holding things. So this is the three big markets that we saw from 2017, 2018, and a little one here in 2018. And then you can see this green square here that from December of 2019 until the end of March of 2019, we did have a little bit of a bull run. And we did trade that. In December, we made 162% profit. January, 240% profit. In February, made 800% profit. So in March, it was a little bit of a loss. Then if we average those all out and add them all up, wins and losses, we were up more than 1,000% by following this same trading plan during that period of time, when we could see that in Bitcoin dominance, that the altcoins were doing a little bit of a move. So now we're in a position that the altcoins can do a much greater move. They can make a much greater percentage move. And now we get down to the real point of things. We've taken all of that research and all of that data, and we've been continually monitoring all of the cryptocurrency markets on Poloniex and Binance. And we've been constantly keeping our spreadsheets up to date so that we are there. We know exactly which coins are starting to move, which coins have already moved a little bit, and which coins are lining up next. We have the bull market watch spreadsheet that is available not just to give you the training on how to use this trading system, but also to help you build it into a habit by coming back to it daily, just a little bit, 10 minutes every single day, coming in to check the spreadsheet, find out which coins are on alert status, go and check their charts, see if these are something you should be investing in. Come and join us over in our Discord chat and ask about any specific market, and we can give you an analysis on that specific market, in addition to the color-coded alerts here. Head over to the website and start off with the free training so that you understand the trading system that we're using. And once you see the logic of it and you see how this is all put together, then you may want to upgrade to the bull market watch. Head over here and you can see our live spreadsheet updates. So you'll see that there are 22 alert status coins right now in Binance, and we have 19 hold status coins. So there are 40 odd coins there in Binance that are already at the front of the pack. These are the leading coins in the cryptocurrencies. They're the ones that are going to make the biggest gains over the next years. And it just makes sense for us to be starting to pay attention right now as this is unfolding. They're all going to go as a wave. So be sure to jump in. Find out about the bull market case studies. Grab this data, watch this stuff over and over again. This is knowledge that you can apply. This is exactly what I'm doing, and I'm just sharing it with you and making it affordable so that you can not make the mistakes that I made when I first started out trading. So I appreciate you guys following along this incredibly long video. It is an insanely detailed process to stay current on all of this stuff. And now you can take advantage of all of this work. In closing, it is amazing to watch what Bitcoin is doing in this ascending channel right now, but the altcoins like Ethereum are taking off. Litecoin is taking off. Ripple is taking off. And I think the altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin. They have been pushed down. They have been pressed down. They have been underutilized. And now as the top comes off and the FOMO starts kicking in, these altcoins are going to moon. Don't miss out on altcoin season. Head over to the website, get your subscription to the Bull Market Watch, join our community, and ask all the questions that you possibly can. This is the time. Don't look back later and think, damn it, I wish I'd have just did it. Jump in now. I'll see you on the other side.